Hello, Skyduck. My name is Joe Burgett. Thank you guys for tuning in. It is my great pleasure to introduce two individuals here, Yuval and Elon with Skywatch. Skywatch is a new business leader sponsor to Skyduck. So on behalf of the board and everyone at Skyduck, thank you guys very, very much for your support. In addition to that, they have graciously volunteered their time to kind of speak with us on this latest Skycast to talk about a topic that's important, insurance, and it's a topic that some of us may know more about, but none of us really know all of the ins and outs and all the intricacies of it that these two experts have. So thank you guys very, very much for carving out some time and speaking with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, great.
So again, just a quick introduction. My name is Yuval. I'm the broker here at Skywatch, and Elon, I'll give you a second to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Elon Yusim. I'm Skywatch AI's Head of Industry Relations and Marketing Manager. I've been in Skywatch from the very beginning, right after our seed round. I had previous experience with a lot of high-tech companies with 5 years experience in the Israeli Air Force. So I have deep connection to technology and aviation and happy to contribute.
Great. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll jump right in. Okay. Here we go. I'll let Elon start.
All right, so a little bit about Skywatch. Skywatch was actually started as a data analysis company. We just analyzed a couple of thousands of commercial drone flights. We had a lot of insights, and then just started exploring the drone industry and what we can do with this data. Quite quickly, we found out that insurance, which is heavily based on pest data, just didn't have enough data to actually provide the right coverage for the drone industry. So we teamed up with stock companies, our carrier, and then developed our drone insurance product. We're currently covering tens of thousands of drone professionals across North America. We have deep connection with the drone industries and some of the most fascinating companies. We do cover drone operation from a single operation with photography and real estate up to companies that are doing agriculture, construction, deliveries, light shows, and everything connected to that. In 2020, we invested a lot on our service, and that is reflected in our rating throughout every platform. And throughout the year, we connected deeply with some of the top manufacturers in the industry and software providers. So our insurance is trusted by them and used by many of the companies mentioned here. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're gonna actually start with providing deep context to our goal, which is a little bit what's going on and what we expect to be the leading trends in 2021. After that, we're gonna talk a lot about what type of drone insurance products that there are and what you can do with drone insurance today, the different types of policies, pricing, how to get the right drone insurance for you, and then we're gonna finish with probably the moment of truth for any insurance company, which is claims. So first off, we're going to start with highlighting some 4 drone trends that we analyze, and we think that is going to set the tone in 2021. So the drone industry has been going on for a couple of years, and I think that in 2021, we're going to see the drone industry just move to a different phase, which is the scale. And the most major thing that happened in 2020 within the drone industry, just major investment in a couple of companies. We saw Skydio just move with great products and just started to set the tone within the drone industry. We saw Volansi and Percepto just moving forward with some great product. We see software and platform provider just getting in more investment, and we see mergers and acquisitions and just companies just consolidating. So we saw FLIR purchase Altavian, and then Teledyne just purchased FLIR. So that is one great thing that's gonna help the industry move forward. And once again, we cannot not mention Amazon Prime, that will probably is set to explode. I think in 2021. I think they are just putting the pieces together. So with every vertical of the drone industry, we do expect that in the upcoming 5 years, the industry will quadruple itself. Naturally, photography and real estate will continue to lead in terms of drone use, but the energy, agriculture, and construction verticals will actually lead in market size in terms of how many dollars are spent and moving through that industry. And deliveries and transportation will actually be the most growing industries in the upcoming years. They will need to sort the trust, control, and fulfillment. And with what we see before any drone delivery operation goes, they must need a place to land. So I think that is one thing that they need to sort out. So that actually means that commercial drone operations at all sizes will have to adapt, scale, and just better position themselves in the new ecosystem as it develops. And one other trend that we see is the manufacturers ecosystem is growing. In the past, DJI was probably one of the key players, and in 2021 it was the first year that DJI started losing market share, and that is not surprised. We just see a lot of great products out there. We see Skydio set the tone with easy to use and autonomous flight. We see Otto with the Evo 2, which is a great product for enterprise operation. Parrot set the tone in the US and Europe as well. We see FreeFly putting out some great products out there. Sony just entered the drone manufacturers game with an introduction of a great product, and I think that this will probably help push the drone usage within the entertainment industry. And we see Wingtra and Inspirefly and some other manufacturers that are putting out some great product throughout the landscape. So the market is set for innovation, and what that mean is both there's a lot of chances to innovate, to do creative use of drone. It will be easier to pick a drone for a specific task, but also you will be able to get a drone which is simple enough to implement in different scenario. The DJI won't sit on their hands. They will continue to provide awesome products and will be probably very, very competitive in the upcoming years. The third trend is the industry and the technical specific skills pushing forward. I think that in the first years of the commercial drone industry, there was this Part 107 dream. Oh, I'm gonna get my beginner's drone. I'm gonna get my Part 107, and then I'm probably gonna make some dollars. And I think that by the end of 2019, we saw businesses waking up, and with 2020, with our research, we saw that actually 40% of the drone businesses actually reduced their activity, which is a lot contributed by COVID. But this actually made people realize that the drone industry basically needs something more than that. We see now that real estate agents are getting their Part 107, and they don't need to hire anyone. But what that means is, so in order to move on out from that base level of the Part 107, you need to learn new skills, learn to use more advanced inventory, new software, and new drones. And we do predict that in the upcoming years, we will start to see less human pilots actually operating drones, and we will see more autonomous drone flights, and that includes deliveries, inspection, and probably will shift the industry into a different phase. The fourth trend that we expect to influence the industry is connection and trust. We do think that trust is probably the main key in order to keep the drone industry increase its penetration. We need to establish trust both in the public, with pilots, with companies and authorities. The public need to believe that the drones are safe, whether it's by technology and how they're portrayed in the media. They need to believe that the benefits of drone use are greater than the risk, and they do believe that they do need to trust and believe that drones are controlled and monitored. So in that sense, remote ID is actually a very good thing. That I know that there was a lot of worries within the drone industry about the implementation of remote ID, and we do think that the latest resolution is actually probably the best solution possible in that sense, and this will help a lot of the industries that are using drone to actually move forward. And naturally, rules are not enough. We will need to see the compliance of the industry in order to see those rules come into play. And one other thing in terms of connectivity, remote ID and UDM are not the only thing that will influence the drone industry. We do think that 5G technology will improve the ability to control drones in large scale distance. This will increase autonomous flight, swarm operation, and beyond visual line of sight capabilities. This will also push the need of proper cybersecurity protection and the use of virtual private networks for drones. We see a lot of communication companies actually investing a lot. There's a huge segment within Nokia actually dedicated to creating communication and security solution for drones. So this is something that we do believe that will influence the advancement of the drone industry. What does it mean for the different types of drone operation? Fast Fix Fast is the ability to be flexible and to scale. This will push forward new ideas, but the existing stakeholders will need to just adapt to the changes, and we do actually think that the industry is really set to boost and grow in the upcoming years. So there are a lot of chances for the drone industry and individual and companies to contribute and to enjoy the fruits of the investments of the industry. Joe, is there anything that you think is relevant for SciDoc?
No, I think you covered the highlights. I mean, I do, kind of want to echo a couple of your thoughts, though, about the new changes that have been released with by the FAA for the Part 107 and remote ID. From my perspective, they seemed, very reasonable. Some of the more controversial aspects of it, they kind of did away with the connection and Wi-Fi requirement. So, I mean, you're never going to have a scenario where everything is perfect. But I thought they thread the needle about as best they could, and the timeline is when that stuff is going to be effective, and when it's pretty generous. There's a lot of time that the manufacturers have there to be able to adapt, and even beyond that, there's some requirements in there or some leniency for some of the legacy products to be able to adapt. So overall, I'm optimistic. I'm feeling like we're in a good place.
Definitely, and I do think that some big companies will actually eyeing the drone industry. I think that actually Apple might be a big player within the drone industry, and I think that there are some other companies that we're going to hear about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, in this industry, there is a lot of, there's not as much competition as there is in other industries, and competition generally benefits the consumer. So the more that we get some of these players, and especially larger companies like Apple, who've got good infrastructures in place and a history of making products that just kind of work and are easy for user to use. I'm looking forward to more of that, entering into this space.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, given all of these, trends and the need for safety and connection within the industry, that's where Skywatch, we really believe that drone insurance is a great tool in promoting the drone industry forward. As Elon mentioned, safety is such a big part in building that trust and moving the industry forward. And insurance is one of the best ways to mitigate risk and gain trust with clients and organizations. So we really do believe that drone insurance is a great tool, and now more than ever it's going to be more important. And we're kind of going to dive into what we offer and what our policies, kind of how they're broken down, and how they can benefit you, in the industry and for your upcoming jobs. So a lot of times we do get questions, why do I need drone insurance? Contractors and business owners do have different types of liabilities in place, but really drone insurance is your way to protect you yourself as a drone pilot and your business as a drone business. A lot of these drones and equipment that Elon touched upon, they do get expensive. It is an investment, and to put that return on your investment through insurance can go a long way. And, while we put a lot of trust in our pilots and we know that people are taking the biggest precautions, the inevitable does sometimes happen. It's unfortunate, but it's always better to, take actions beforehand. So that is just a quick understanding of why you need drone insurance. Of course, general liability a lot of times excludes anything to do with aviation, excuse me, aviation and aircrafts. So basically what we've done at Skywatch is we've created a liability policy that is strictly for drone use. So any type of liability that comes out of you operating your drone or your business operating your drone, that's what the policy is going to cover. Of course, the drone insurance is going to cover commercial use, which is probably the most important thing, when you need to have this for a client or for a contract. When it comes to getting insurance, you want to make sure that the carrier is able to actually cover the risk or cover any sort of accident that arises. And one of the best ways to find out if a carrier is capable of that is to check out their rating by AM Best, which is just an agency that provides rating for different companies. Star Companies is, of course, rated A Excellent. And of course, one of the important things is because insurance isn't necessarily, there's not one set in stone, protocol for operators to have insurance. It is their independent responsibility of pilots and contractors to make sure that they are meeting the specific requirements needed of them. So with that in mind, we'll jump into the different types of drone insurance. And basically the way that it works, it's broken into two different portions. All drone insurance policies, whether it's Skywatch or anywhere else, is going to be, the foundation is going to be liability, of course. So third-party aviation liability coverage, that's going to protect property damage and bodily injury that happens out of your drone operations. And that can range anywhere from $500,000 to $10 million. Now, once you have that base foundation of the liability that you select, you can add on to it hull coverage, which is going to actually protect. You do experience a crash, or you do have, heaven forbid, a flyaway or theft. And this hull coverage is optional in most cases. It's not something that's required of a lot of people to have, but in order to get that hull coverage, and most times you're going to have to get a liability plan with hull. It's not really sold independently.
So liability is kind of like the damage you can do, and the hull is kind of more of the damage that is done to you, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So if, something happens and any third party is injured, of course, the liability is going to be what you want to have, because if the drone is gone, that's probably the least of your worries if somebody else is hurt. So the hull protection is really kind of an individual desire. If you're getting expensive equipment and you want to make sure that's insured, but the liability is what you want to, of course, have for yourself, but also want to make sure that you're protecting others, because you don't want to put others in danger. And if we want to build trust and in the community, people want to know that we're ready to take responsibility for if any damage arises.
Sure. And like for liability insurance, as you say, your exposure could be $5 million, whereas hull insurance, your exposure really is the value of a used drone that you're flying.
Exactly. And we added another thing here to kind of give you a breakdown of some of the industry what we've seen. So we see that, general photography and real estate will usually range between $500,000 and $1 million. Sometimes your client or the company that you're working for will require a certain limit, but if you're responsible for just deciding your own, then usually we'll see people choose between $500,000 and $1 million. And then, of course, as the operations become a little bit more complex, whether it be in agriculture, construction, those limits will rise to, anywhere $2 million to $5 million. And then, of course, in the cinematography, in productions and stuff, we see policies being required of $10 million liability. So, of course, it's going to be different for each industry, but we just kind of wanted to give an idea of, different things that we've seen.
Everything's more expensive in California.
Definitely. Absolutely. Okay. So another thing that's important to touch upon the liability is, when we talk about liability, there's so many things that go into that, whether it's property damage or medical expenses or anything like that. It's also going to include things such as indoor coverage or worldwide coverage. If you're taking your drone inside, as you can see in this picture here, we have a drone flying inside a warehouse. We see a lot of people using drones for indoor inspections and inventory checks and things like that. If that's going to be an enclosed surface, indoor coverage and indoor liability is going to need to be added on. And this is kind of where, when you want to read the fine lines of the insurance and kind of understand what's included, it's important to make sure that you understand if indoor is included or not, because it's not necessarily like a standard coverage. Of course, if there are pilots or enterprises that are using multiple drones or they have fleets, it is important to get some sort of tailored solution in those situations, because the policies can differentiate based on the type of drone that you're using or the type of operation, if there's simultaneous flights. So there are specific liability coverage extensions that are important to look into based on the operation that you have planned. So what does that mean in terms of getting the right drone insurance? So basically, the market kind of helps you understand what you need to get in terms of your drone insurance. It's broken down into three things, at least what we've seen. First of all, you have your business requirements, right? So depending on how often you're using your drone, what your workload looks like, the industry that you're working in, and what's the requirement. And of course, your brand. If you want to be able to say that you're insured at all times, or you're insured, for a specific flight, you want to take into consideration what you and your business need for insurance. The second consideration is what your client demands. So sometimes you will get a document that says what you need. Sometimes you're expected to look through the contract and understand, provide certificates, things like that. You're going to want to understand what the client expects of you in terms of insurance. And the third being the local requirements and adhering to their needs. So we've seen at Skywatch, we've provided a lot of documentation to different DOTs, local municipalities. Of course, in California, all the film offices will want to see strict paperwork. A lot of property owned by, the Bureau of Land Management is going to want to know, what the insurance in place is and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have an understanding of your needs, your client needs, and what the authorities around you want. Okay, once you know that, you can kind of get an understanding of what the different plan that you want is, whether it be on a monthly basis or an annual basis, or just a per flight basis. So we kind of broke it down to give an understanding of what the different advantages are. With the monthly and the annual plan, basically you're going to have inclusive territory coverage, kind of similar, to just like normal insurance plan with car insurance or such. You just have a policy document and a certificate of insurance, and you are insured no matter what time of day and where you're flying. And it's, a monthly payment or an annual payment. And you also have the option to add physical damage coverage, of course, to the drone, as we discussed. This really does allow just for, flexibility and being able to kind of move your jobs as they need be without having to make any changes to your insurance. And of course, with annual plan, it gives you the peace of mind for 1 year out with one piece of paper, one document to really prove your coverage. The per flight option, while of course it's less flexible in terms of dates and times, it is a good option sometimes. When pilots have one operation coming up that might have a higher liability request, and maybe you don't want to carry, let's say, a long-term 5 million policy and you just need it for 1 day, you always have the option to add on a separate policy just for that time frame. So it does give you that flexibility of just short term, not too expensive, not to have to worry about increasing and paying long term for a one-time project. It also does give you the ability to kind of budget yourself and kind of give a price to your client and bill them for that operation. It is important to know that the per flight coverage, it is based on location. So that's really kind of the kicker here. You're not going to have an coverage for any time of the day, anywhere. It's just in the area that you specify. And you do that with Skywatch. Excuse me, I'm having trouble today. You do that with using the app. So you're going to really map out your location and schedule a policy for that specific location.
Let me hang a lantern on a couple of things you said here. So that per flight basis, just so everyone understands, this is basically like insurance by the hour. So this is kind of something that's a little bit unique for, in the insurance world, where if you're a smaller agency, maybe you're, a police department, or maybe a small storm management department within a small county, and maybe you're not flying flights all the time. You've got a drone, you're experimenting, maybe you're doing 2 or 3 a month, that sort of thing. This is a way in which you can just kind of dip your toe in the water for, $10 an hour or whatever it happens to be able to get coverage and to meet your, your county's requirements, or whatever your agency's requirements for insurance, and check that box and just kind of get in this space. But if you're the downside of that, then of course is that whoever is doing this needs to be very intentional. Make sure they go on the app, make sure they buy the insurance for that mission, because it's 1 hour. Make sure you're intentional with where you're going to be flying, because it's geo specific. And if you are planning on flying in Pickens County and that's what you buy the policy for on your app, but you happen to be in another county, you didn't buy the right policy. Whereas the monthly plan, it's just kind of open to everybody. The one question I did have is, when you have like a monthly or annual policy, is that for the individual, or is that for the drone?
So great question. I want to touch on for something that you mentioned earlier about the hourly, and I just want to quickly say that it's also a great option for situations, if you're getting started and you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing or how often, and you just want to kind of test the water, as you said. So, you can always upgrade later. With that also in mind, one thing at Skywatch that we've seen over the past year is, the demands of the drone industry and drone jobs, they change left and right, whether, for good and for worse, and flexibility and insurance is so important. And we really do understand that. So we do have a lot of, I guess forgiveness would be the words. We allow you to pre-book a policy. So if you have, let's say, an operation next week in a certain location, you can always pre-book it for that date and time. And then if something changes, you have the ability to cancel up to an hour before flight. So you will get, fully reimbursed, and you can kind of make the changes. So there is a lot of leniency and flexibility, but of course, as you mentioned, it is important to keep an eye on, where you're flying and be on top of it, because your documentation will change. Now, going back to what you just asked about the monthly policy, it really depends, because you can be an individual policyholder or you can have your company insured on the policy. The liability coverage, it is going to insure either the business or the pilot, no matter which drone is being used. So it is a liability-based plan, not a drone-based plan. So if you have 3 different drones, your policy is going to cover you no matter which drone you're flying. But if something happens to the drone and you want that drone to be included for physical damage, it has to be listed in the hull inventory. So it's drone specific only for the hull inventory part and for the hull coverage. It's not drone specific for the liability.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Does that answer everything?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So moving along to something unique about Skywatch, as Elon mentioned, before starting off as an insurance company, we were, a data and risk analysis company, and our founders and engineers, they looked into a lot of flight logs in order to understand behavior of pilots. And they were able to create a system which allows pilots to very easily just upload flight logs from many different formats. Here's on the screen, you can see a few different supported formats. Upload about 5 flight logs. They can be, from any time. They don't have to be flights that are insured with Skywatch. You can upload them online, and you'll get a unique risk analysis specific to your flying patterns. You'll get some insights about, what we saw in the flights and what took place. And based on that, you'll be able to redeem a discount onto your policy. So we give anywhere between 10, 20, and 30% off. You'll get a code, and you can continue to upload your logs, not only for the benefit of the discount, but also just to kind of get some insights and understand your piloting behavior. And this is really unique to Skywatch. So now probably the best part about the Skywatch platform that we've established is it really gives pilots and business owners control over their insurance. So we really found it important for pilots to have full policy management. We know that one size doesn't necessarily fit all. Drone businesses, they need to scale and they need to control both their cost and their paperwork. And so we have developed an online portal, and our app is fully supportive of this as well. It allows you to modify your policy, control things like your liability limit, update your hull inventory, and schedule new policies, manage your renewals on your own. Of course, our team is always available to help and make modifications and answer questions along the way. But because we know that people need to get their certificates updated quickly and easily, our system allows you to do that digitally by yourself in real time. One of the important things is your proof of insurance in order to meet your client's demands. We put a little picture here. It's just an example of, some of the requirements that we do see. People will get a full checklist that says, I need to have this showing on the certificate of insurance, this company's named as an additional insured. They want to see that the policy is primary, things like that. Different types of requests will come in. And you'll be able to, as I mentioned earlier, modify your certificate of insurance online to meet all of that wording requirement. So for each policy, a new certificate is generated, and you can add an additional insured without any added premium. It's included in the monthly, annual, and hourly premium. This is free of charge. And basically what happens is the certificate of insurance is going to say all of your information. It's going to have your liability limit, your name, your, the dates of coverage, the location, things like that. And the great thing about this is that you can have multiple. So even if you have 3 jobs coming up in the month and each one of them need insurance, you can generate a specific COI for each client, each company, and send them off to whoever needs to see them and not have to worry about having multiple insurances active for each plan. And again, this is all accessible through the system that we've created online, or of course through one of our drone insurance specialists. All right, so with all that being said, and all of everything that has to do with drone insurance, the real moment of truth comes down to claims. And with that, I'm going to pass the torch over to Ilan.
All right, so yeah, with the wild analysis that we did find out that, listen, drones crash. It happens to probably everyone. It's a combination of human, mechanical, and environmental factors, and it's just a matter of statistics. You can be a really skillful, knowledgeable, educated pilot with a really good drone, and if you're flying a lot, it's just statistics that says that sometimes drones crash, and this will happen. And before we begin to just cover what is the claim process, it's just important to us to make sure that our pilots do know what to do when the drones crash. It's your obligation to first of all provide first aid to everyone involved. Make sure that people are safe. Make sure that your equipment is safe. Right after that, take images of all the damages caused to the drone or by your drone to other people or property. Gather all the necessary details accurately with the people involved, witnesses, just because it makes all the claim process really, really smooth and easy. Before submitting a claim, just make sure that you have the needed certificate, whether it's your Part 107, which is your license, and the FAA US registration certificate. Make sure to obtain proof of flight, which is flight log or footage from that flight, because our claim system is the database, so it just makes easier for us to analyze what happened. Obtain proof of purchase in claims of theft. It just makes everything really easier with the adjuster process. And keep the drone, all related equipment, and digital files in your possession until we instruct you otherwise. The claim process itself is really, really easy.
I'll chime in there just as a note, because I just know that if and when I have crashed a drone, you're always excited about getting it off to somebody to repair it, but just kind of a reminder that before you send it away to collect all that data, right? Get all of your records and download all the images and all that kind of good stuff before you send it off and don't have access to it.
Yeah, and it is a crucial point, because we work with commercial drone pilots, and their motivation is on spot. They do want to get their drone fixed, and they do want to get back to work. So in that sense, we made our claim process really fast. Our average claim resolve time is 3 business days. So it won't take long to get the money. If your drone need to be repaired, we probably gonna instruct you to move forward with the repair, and then we gonna move forward with the claim as the drone is being repaired. So the first step is just an online submission. It takes less than a minute. If you have all the required information, you just go to our online portal. You just put all the data there, and our team will get it on the spot. And after an initial review, human representative from our team will reach out just within a couple of hours, even during weekends, and will guide you on the next steps. If we have all the information, we will just submit the claim to our carrier. The next step will be an adjuster processing. This will require legal documents and settlement evaluation. If your drones need to be repaired, you just need to provide a quote for the drone's repair. If your drone is a total loss, we will probably require you to ship the drone, and we will pay for the delivery cost. And at the end, yeah, you're probably gonna get the money up to the replacement value as noted in the policy itself, minus the deductibles. So that is one thing that is worth knowing. After the first claim, we will probably won't do anything to your premium, but after the second claim, we will adjust the premium accordingly. And as you see, we did make sure that the entire process is really transparent. So within each step and each part of the claim process, our team and our pilots are fully aware of what's going on, what is the next step, what to expect, and the timeline. So this is as I said in the beginning, one of our main investment in 2020, just to make the service part and the claim process, just because it is our moment of truth, to make it easy, smooth, and as professional as possible.
Great.
Yeah.
So just to kind of conclude, if you have any questions about what our policies do include, Elon mentioned deductibles, premiums, you want to get a quote or anything like that, we have a lot of different resources available. We do have an online pilot FAQ knowledge base with all the different, FAQs. You can really search and find what you're looking for. I'm also happy to do one-on-one consulting and to give you a specific quote. You have your drone information. I'll be happy to generate a quote for you and kind of give you any sort of guidance you need in terms of your policy. And of course, we have an updated blog, which includes a lot of relevant information that's going on in the industry, as well as a drone insurance dictionary. So we've really taken all the definitions of the policy, what can make insurance a little bit of a headache sometimes, and made it into just an easy to read online dictionary. So all of that is available online. And our team is always available. You see our support email here and our phone number. We work really around the clock to make sure we're able to be in touch with our pilots. We want to have our binding and coverage solutions available digitally, but we're also here to be a human source behind everything. So any questions that you want to touch on?
Well, yeah, so for our Scotic members that are out there, obviously their contact information is on your screen, but if you go to the sponsorship page, you'll see the Skywatch logo, and if you click on that, that takes you right to their webpage, and again, all those frequently asked questions are the things that you've always mentioning will be available to you. So just from a high level, guys, I just want to really thank you guys for being here and for sharing your expertise with us, as well as being a business leader sponsor for the group. So just sincerely on behalf of the board and all of our membership, really thank you for your time and energy and support, and we look forward to working with you as the months and years progress.